Today I want to talk about detachment, which is what I always talk about, but detachment and the Bengston Method, I feel like that's what I learned from Bill Bengston. I feel like that's what was missing, why I couldn't, because back in 2009, I was already at the peak of my career. I was senior faculty at the 𝗥𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 Institute of Integrative Medicine. I was one of the first American acupuncturists having 25 years experience. That was back then, right? I was a medical intuitive. I was pretty good, but I couldn't touch cancer. It's like I felt like I was supporting the process a little bit, but either the cancer or the chemo and the radiation or whatever else was going on was just so much more powerful than my 𝗘𝗲𝗀𝗿𝗆 energy therapy that I almost didn't recommend my therapy to clients unless they could work actively psychospiritually with me. And I was pretty good at that, and I feel like that was genuinely helpful because there is a huge psychosomatic portal that can be opened and benefit any kind of healing. But I was very good at doing stuff, like using certain frequencies for certain intervals of sound for certain types of physical problems. I knew acupuncture, the 300 plus acupuncture points that take energy from the areas of deficiency or from excess and give them to the areas of take it from where it's a lot to a little. There we go. I was good at reading if it was working or not, and really understood the body, really a lot of body stuff. But when I met Bill Bengston and he offered to mentor me, he wasn't seeming to do anything. He was just cycling and talking to my husband, or cycling and, I don't know, staring out the window. He didn't seem to be doing anything. And yet the tumors cooled down and the cancer went away. And so I was like so open to understanding what I thought I knew that was evidently wrong, because I didn't get those results. That is my little preamble for how do you cycle for somebody. I was talking to Bengston a few months ago, and I said, what is that? Like, I hear people cycling for people. Like, what is that? He says, I don't have a clue. I don't teach that. I thought, I didn't think so. All right. And that led me to a deeper question of, like, how do you cycle for somebody without doing too much? How do you connect without connecting? How do you... So usually what I say is I put the object of my desired healing onto my list, my image cycling list, and then I spin it around. So the time of attachment is in slow motion when I'm pondering what my true desires are. And I let that go into my list. And then when I'm cycling, it's in the background and I'm just in the here and now. I'm just like looking at my furniture right now. Okay? I'm not really trying to do much. I feel like I learned that from Bengston, and I feel like it's served me very, very, very well. But then the problem comes is if you're coming to somebody, if like my patients would come to me, I would touch them. And what I learned from Bengston was how to touch without staring at it. And so I would be curious, like, oh, if I touch here, I wonder what happens. If I touch there, what happened? That didn't seem to interfere with their own process. But if I put an acupuncture needle in somebody and was really trying to direct the chi, like say they had a headache and I did the points for a headache, that seemed to almost override what the cycling was doing. And especially if I used sound and cycled at the same time, it felt like the sound was such more of a gross mechanical energy that the subtle, I think that's the word, subtle mechanisms that the Bengston Method was using were distorted and shaken up. And yet you don't need perfect calm and stillness, but there's this attitude of, yeah, that's what I want, but right now I'm just here right now. I'm doing without. So what I thought we would do today, like if this detachment is, and okay, so when I learned how to detach and not try to do so much, the results became so much bigger. It was paradoxical that the closer I got to doing nothing, the more the physical changed. Because that, is just so counterintuitive for a, a valiant professional who's had all this training and knows how to do so much. So let's just take that as like a hypothesis or a curiosity. And how can we put that detachment into this event, this group distance healing event? Because I was thinking about that and I thought, I'm wondering if we're too attached to the names and to the little circle that we create, and we're feeling like that's the actual big deal of when the healing is actually happening, is when we're cycling. And when I say the name, that's when God zaps the person, or it emerges out of them, or however we think that. We think of the names as being the most important part of the healing. And I would say, I would just compare it to giving an in-person treatment. So if I'm treating somebody in person, and I still do this, I go on house calls, I drive my little RV to people's places and do it all over the country. Okay, so we're trying to enhance the distance healing here by being more detached from the names and from the deed of saying the names. It's almost like when you say the name, you're trying to align with their healing. And that's the old-fashioned way that doesn't work so well with cancer. Okay, so the idea is that you want to enjoy the names, you want to notice them, you want to playfully let them. So if you're new to this, we're going to go into a guided visualization in a little while. I'm going to take you into a healing sanctuary. We're going to gather around a pond. There's going to be, some boats floating around with all the people and the animals who've requested healing. And then we're going to, I'm going to read the names, and then we're going to be quiet for a minute while we're doing this cycling. And right now, everybody should be just cycling right now. Sorry, I didn't say that, but just if, the healing's already begun. The healing actually happened when your name went on the list. And if you want to enhance that part of it, you put your own name on the list. There's like an exchange of energy there, right? You do something ever so slightly difficult, and that enhances the results, I think. I know with me, I always, with the cures that I've facilitated, there's always been a point where I gave in a way that was not comfortable. So, okay. Back to the thing. So right now, I'd like us all to pretend. I'm looking around for an object to hold. This is going to be a pen, little marker here. I'd like you to pretend that your unconscious is connected to everything. So at some level, you're connected to everything. Just try on this perspective, and that your unconscious knows the names on the list, even though I haven't read them, even though I don't consciously know who they are. I'd like you to pretend like you can kind of take that out of the ethers and put them into an object that you're holding. And it can be a rather mundane object. It can be a beautiful crystal. It can be a glass of water. But hold it in your left hand and pretend like you're holding in your heart. This is actually the acupuncture point that goes to your heart. So you're kind of lovingly holding the intention that you would like to facilitate healing for the people on the list, people and the animals on the list. Okay, so that's active. You're doing something right. It's very satisfying. So you're putting you're pretending like the names are inside this object, and you're holding them. And now that you're holding them, really connect with the fact that at some level you are holding these names. And now, if you forgot to cycle, keep spinning a disc of light, or however you like to do that. But if you're new, just spin a disc of light. Good. And if you're new and this is too much, just watch and listen. It's okay. You're still helping by being here, by listening. Okay, good. And now, once you really feel a connection to that, and I'm going to pause so that you really feel it. And if you're a patient on the list, your name's in there, right? So you're the healer and the healee. And feel how egalitarian that is. Like when you have all the names in there, you don't know if you're getting better or if somebody else is getting better or everybody's getting better or something. But just sort of feel your kinesthetic connection to your imagination that you're holding in the palm of your hand the intention of well-being for everybody's whose names I'm going to read. Okay. And now you're going to cycle. Now you're going to keep holding it, and you're going to drop your hand if it's up, and just let your unconscious, you're lightly attached. It's a trick, okay? So that your unconscious won't think that you're not attached, but you're not thinking about it. So just hold the friggin' object. Don't devotedly hold the object. Just hold it. Okay, and since you gave this object meaning, your unconscious will allow whatever switches to be flipped, whatever switches that say you're not actually in contact with these people, to be flipped so that your unconscious, this automatic part of you, can be the connector. And your conscious mind can get out of the way and just listen to the visualization and focus. Your focus then becomes on resonating with the group, not with healing people. Because paradoxically, the more you stare at the healing, the less it works. But you have to do something to create resonance. So now we're going to create resonance. All right, so you're welcome. So if you're watching this later on YouTube or some other forum, you're welcome to join us over at the Spirit Gate Cancer Support Facebook group for the actual deed of the healing, and listen to the names and do all that stuff so that you can, people can find us. Okay,